Hey ladies and gents, it's Zem back, and we are doing the Ka-25 Generation 1 Soviet helicopter. So now this is kind of an oddball, and I'm not going to lie to you, there's a lot of things going on here that really don't make sense, but we're going to try to get through this. So late 50s, the Russians decided they needed a shipborne helicopter that they could hunt submarines with. So they just started, that was about 1958, they started developing the, essentially the Ka-20, and that was first seen in public in 1961. Shortly thereafter, the production model, of course the Ka-20 was a prototype, the Ka-25 was the production model. And when this first aircraft was first seen, the Allies, or I shouldn't say the Allies, NATO codenamed it Hormone, specifically Hormone A. I'll explain to you as we go along here. Hormone A was, for all intents and purposes, was a anti-submarine warfare helicopter. It was able to had dip sonar. It could pull a towed sonar to look for enemy submarines. It had the ability underneath, and this, you can kind of see it here. I'm not sure if this is the under the fuselage, this box right here. Some of them, the pictures I've seen, are more pronounced for larger, assuming munitions. It was reported to be able to carry torpedoes, depth charges, both conventional and nuclear. Surprise, surprise. I don't know if I would be in a helicopter and want to drop a nuclear depth charge, but it had the ability to do so. This was the Hormone A. You can notice by the big radar dome up in the front here. Quite a, from my read about it, very reliable aircraft, well liked, had no problem landing on most of the ships it encountered and whatnot, or the ships that it flew off of. The Hormone B, which was, I guess, would be the second generation of this aircraft, was developed more along the lines for beyond horizon missile guidance. This thing would move out past, 20, 30 miles out past from where the cruiser was, and guide cruise missiles to target. And those helicopters had a antenna that stuck down here just behind the crew quarters, and that's kind of the main difference between the Hormone A and the Hormone B, was this large antenna, cylinder antenna, that stuck down just right before you got to the tail of the aircraft. The Hormone C, which was an entirely search and rescue helicopter. It had the cabin could hold up to 12 soldiers or search and rescue crews, that kind of thing. It did have, there was a version of this that was used just as a transport, but there was not quite 500 of these made, so nobody really knows the exact numbers that was used just for transport and whatnot. Same way with the armament that we see on this helicopter. There is only one version that I could find that talked about any kind of exterior ordnance, and that was the Ka-25F, and that was actually going to be a competitor to the Mi-24 Hind. Actual numbers built, nobody really knows, or numbers I could find about the actual aircraft. There wasn't really anything out there. But apparently at one point or another, they mounted rocket pods and anti-tank missiles onto this helicopter. Seeing that it was a naval helicopter, I'm not sure when the conversion was done or when the conversion was successful. There wasn't really a whole lot of information out there. However, I do find kind of interesting, so this, when I read about it, this is kind of a mismatch helicopter we have in game. The F model of the Ka-25 actually had 4 doors on the crew compartment. This only has 2. You know, things like that. Kind of a strange mix of helicopters here. But hey, it's just a video game, right? So I'm not gonna really pick it apart. So yeah, that's the history of this helicopter. About 490 of these were produced. Used pretty extensively all the way up to into the 70s. Eventually, a lot of these helicopters were transferred to satellite nations. You know, Ukraine, that kind of thing. Got deliveries of these helicopters. You know, once they became obsolete. So yeah, it was used extensively. Very reliable aircraft, well liked, and whatnot. Now, I will explain this. So this is actually the first one I think I've ever did of a counter-rotating helicopter. If you don't really know what this is all about, what I'm talking about counter-rotating is it has 2 sets of blades here. What that does is eliminates the tail rotor on the back of the aircraft. Most helicopters have a tail rotor back here that keeps the helicopter from swinging left and right. With the 2 counter-rotating blades, it does the exact same thing as the tail rotor. So that's why we have these two counter-rotating rotors. The United States never really got into it, but there's a fair amount of Russian helicopters that have this design. So, with that said, I'm going to bring up the gameplay for you guys to check this helicopter out. And in this game, this helicopter kind of plays more of an assault, the assault helicopter role. You know, you have troops, but you also have a fair amount of rockets and whatnot, along with a 150 cal machine gun. So it would be pretty cool if we had the nuclear depth charges on this thing. That would be fucking awesome. Or maybe even torpedoes to deal with riverboats. That would be even more cool. But we don't, so we're just going to get the plain old Jane Ka-25. So I'm going to bring up the gameplay for you guys, and you can see what this thing can do. Alright, back with the gameplay with the Ka-25. You know, for at least for the helicopter-wise, it is somewhat lightly armored. I'm not going to lie. 150 cal machine gun and essentially 12 rockets. These are really big rockets, so they do have a pretty good blast radius and do a lot of damage. However, the next upgrade I will get, I believe 64 rockets. Smaller rockets, but quite a bit more. So we're going to come down here. My first objectives up here is destroy enemy landing positions at landing zone 4, and find and destroy some riverboats. Ooh, there's 3 of them. Look at that. So I start out with some rocket hits, nail that guy, nail both of them. Leaves me down to 4 rockets, but let's see if we can pick up this individual here. I had apparently damaged him quite a bit with my rocket, so only took a few rounds from the 50 cal. 132 millimeter rockets. We're going to come in here and use up the last of my rockets to finish off this objective. That objective is done, and now I have 2 riverboats. The 50 cals do work pretty nice, and about that time, here comes another player into the game. So with his assistance, this shouldn't take too long. The helicopter is relatively quick and maneuverable. Definitely don't have a problem with that. It carries a decent number of troops at 10, which means you have enough to take at least 2 objectives if you have to. So he pulls down, he's going to capture landing zone 3, and now we are looking for the other troops over here at the bottom along the 9 line. So I pick up the riverboat that's running away here. I have no more rockets, and that's kind of what the problem is with using the bigger rockets. You don't have the numbers here. But however, the 50 cal does a pretty nice job of finishing off the riverboat. So I pick that objective up, and I'm going to flip it back around here. I do have, of course, always have enough ammo. He's flying I do believe yeah, he's going to go over here and start spotting things, but however, I don't have any rockets. So it's not really going to be easy for me to deal with any troops at 3. So I'm going to be heading RTB back to base here, try to load up some rockets and whatnot. pick up some enemy troops along the edge here. They're being kind of a cheeky fucks and doing a pretty nice job of fucking up my helicopter. But like I said, fairly maneuverable and fairly quick. So you can do this, return to base here fast enough, of course, to come back here and work on the landing zone 3 here. So I'm going to pull in here, land, reload my rockets. Now the new patch came out, I believe this week. The new patch came out, or what was over the weekend, I don't remember, which allows to replenish your rockets and crew members a little bit faster. So it's kind of nice, you don't have to sit here at base as long. So I pick up 9, pick up my 12, and now I'm ready to go, and we're off. Heading back to help capture landing zone 3. You know, and I like these assault helicopters that are fairly quick. Some of these guys are just some of these assault helicopters are kind of slow, but this Ka-25 definitely moves around the battlefield pretty well. And I'm not sure, but the next set, I believe, are 57mm rockets. I do really like the 132mm. Unfortunately, they're not the... there's not very many of them, but they hit really hard. So I will see when I get the next set of upgrades on the rockets whether or not I'll keep using the 132. Pull in here, and I can hear the hiss of an RPG. That's never good. So pull in here. I'm going to sit down here and drop my troops off and pick up landing zone 3, and then going to head to 4 here to pick up that. So off we go. Drop 6 there, leaves me with 4. However, objective landing zone 4 has no troops in there, so I'm going to try to sneak in there and drop at least 4 so I can pick up the objective relatively quickly. Pull back in. I just love the... I mean, really, honestly, it's the game does look really nice. Pull in here. The other player in the game had dropped some mortar crews here, waiting for somebody with a spotter. But since I was playing nothing but Ka-25, I was unable to use them. So I picked up the landing zone 4, and now I'm going to be waiting here till the next one comes up. Capture landing zone 1 to the north. I have no troops, so it's got to do me any good. But however, I do find and destroy enemy vehicle group in the marked area, so I'm going to turn around and head back there, because I got one riverboat coming in here, and see if we can pick him up here with the rockets. Kind of dinked that one off to the side. Never mind. It only takes me 3 to kill one of those, right? The 132mm, like I said, they have a big boom. I'm still not terribly sure if I'm going to go with the smaller rockets, even though there is more of them. These 132s really do a nice job when they do hit something, or even if they're hitting a mass group of soldiers sitting along the edges here. Usually only takes 1 rocket. You can kill 2, 3, sometimes 4 soldiers if they're close enough. So I'm going to pull back in RTB to base here again, picking up. I'm going to fill out my rocket load again before going on to the next set of objectives here. So kind of donk it when I come in here. Normally I come in here a little bit smoother than that for some reason, but pull in and set down on the landing pad and start filling up on rockets and crew members, because I had dropped 2 sets at 3 and 4. Full, and we're back to the game. Now, from what I understand, the Hormone B, the landing gear was actually retractable. Had something to do with stealth. This one, like I said, being a Hormone A, I never did find anything if it actually said that this thing had retractable gear. So pull in here, drop a few rockets here. Ooh, that's why I like the 132s. Pull back around, put a big chunk, knocked out, 2, 4, 6, 8, roughly, and there's an RPG, found his, and see if we can find any more. Nothing else shooting at me. Oh, wait, something else is shooting at me. There you go, boys. Yeah, one for you, and pick up the objective here. So I'm going to drop in here and drop some troops off at 5, and we still have landing zone 2. We're already up to 9 of 12 or 8 of 12 here, so I only have a few more objectives to go. Now I picked up some enemy activity here in the valley. I got 3 rockets left, which is usually more than enough to deal with just about any group of baddies here. So pick up these guys, and that leaves me with 1. So I'm going to come back through here, keep on moving. I'm not going to stop returning that tight area, but yeah, that picked up the objective with that 1 rocket, or actually 3 rockets it took me. Sorry. Pull in here on 2, and we're going to see what else is going on here. So we got troops at 1, enemy troops at 1, and we also got riverboats down on the 6-9 line. But I'm going to head back to return to base and pick up some more rockets. This is what the one thing that just really does suck about this helicopter. I mean, it's got good speed, good maneuverability, and it's got some hard-hitting rockets, but you only get 12. So you have to be somewhat selective about what you shoot at, and make sure you don't use too many of them. Otherwise, you spend a lot of time going return to base to pick up more rockets for it. Pick up a few more troops. Yeah. And we're going to almost 6, 9, 1 more set, and we were ready to go. Picked up my 12 rockets, reloaded my gun, and back here. So we're at 11 of 12 right now, so this is pretty much end the game. So yeah, I really do enjoy this helicopter. It is kind of fun. There is some better helicopters. The other tier generation ones are as good, if not better. But this one does have the speed and the maneuverability, I think, better than a few of the other ones. And I do really like the 132 millimeters. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I will hopefully have some more up on Heliborne within the next week.